Speaking of YouTube, make sure I didn't miss a page. No. If you aren't aware, we do have a YouTube channel. It's been out for almost a year, but we're always posting quite a few updates on there as well as tips and tricks. It's just a matter of subscribing, just clicking on the little bell, and you can subscribe and you will be notified when those updates take place. So you could do that as well. If you're really kind of unfamiliar with YouTube and sometimes the descriptions and YouTube chapters, good news is we have a welcome video to walk you through to understanding how we're providing a plethora of resources in video format and in doc editor format for you to learn more about Google Workspace. So again, click on that YouTube channel, click on subscribe, and you'll find plenty of resources for you. Just to give you a quick sneak peek, this is kind of the layout. It's a little outdated screenshot, but the concept is the same. As I mentioned, there is the welcome video, as I just talked about. There it is, should be appearing at the very top of your YouTube channel, of this YouTube channel. And also there's many uploads on here as well. And then we have it in multiple playlists. So if you want to learn more about Gmail, you could click on the Gmail playlist as shown here, and you'll see all the videos that tie into or fall into the bucket of Gmail, Calendar, Meet, etc. So there's many playlists for you. So if you really are struggling with a particular app and you're like, I don't understand, fill in the blank, we do have a playlist for most of the Google Workspace apps. Speaking of playlists, we also have a 2023 update playlist. As you can see, there's currently 18 videos. So that means there's 18 videos to learn more about all these Workspace updates that we're going to discuss here shortly. So I actually watched them kind of all yesterday. I was just trying to prepare for the training and just kind of remember, how did I train that? So I can have some of those words in my frontal lobe. So it doesn't take you that long. Just click play and it'll play all those at once for you as you continually to go on. So there's a lot of updates there for you. You could just go directly to that playlist and you can watch all those as well. So again, a lot of resources. Can't emphasize that we are here to support you. It's just a matter of a couple of clicks to get to the support that you are needed for that particular app. So we're going to focus on how we're going to do this today is we're going to focus by app. Some of these Workspace updates do overlap. Some Workspace updates will obviously apply to multiple apps throughout Google Workspace. That's a great benefit of Google Workspace. Google Workspace wants you to work and be interoperable within your different apps in Google. So you'll notice there'll be some crossovers as we train today, especially in the doc editor land. You'll find that some of these updates will also apply to slides or sheets or docs. But I'm going to try to focus at an app level to help you today. So the first app we're going to focus on is Chat. The other thing that you will see in most of these slide decks is another blue button at the bottom. It'll say tips, tricks, and training. That is where I go back to the plethora of resources for you. Each one of these slides will have a individual link that will take you to the topic that we're discussing. So for example, if I click on this link, it will give me more information about the current update that I'm just talking about. So that button should take you to the topic in hand, the topic that's on that particular slide, and you'll find more resources regarding that particular update. So again, we're here to help, plenty of resources for you. So again, I won't repeat that because that would be really kind of boring for all of you for each one of these slides, but know that that is there in each one of the slides. So let's really get into the fun. So actually, we're going to talk about this particular update, which is conversation summaries in Google Chat, help you stay on top of messages. So let's use a business needs. Let's say you go on vacation. I hope you go on vacation. Hope you're not homesick and you're gone for a couple days and you come back and you have tons of chats in your chat spaces. And you're like, because chat spaces is a collaborative environment with your team members. So it's a great way to collaborate and talk to each other via chat. This is a great environment. You might not recognize the word spaces. Spaces was formerly known as rooms, so be aware of that as well. But with that, what this particular update does, it will give you a conversation summary. You can see that in the GIF that you can see a little conversation summary suggested by Google. So it just kind of helps you it helps you know what took place with your unread messages. You can actually click on that conversation summary and it will take you directly to the conversation in hand, and then you can respond. So it's a really nice feature regarding that, especially when you're busy working on project A and you're on focus time and you just don't really want to even deal with chat because you have to deal with this deadline or whatever the case may be, just know that Google's going to help you out with the artificial intelligence. And then when you have a moment, you'll at least have somewhat of a summary to review in your chat spaces. So be aware of that update. I like that update. That's really nice, especially when you've been gone for a couple of days and you're like, what's going on? You know, such and such happened. Really? So be aware of that. This is another really good update too. I like this one actually a lot. Introducing simpler conversation creation in Google Chat. What this does is it actually makes it easier to create a chat conversation. So for example, you can see in the GIF, you click on the new chat button, you type in the email of the person that you want to communicate. And so all you do is just type in that person's email, and then you would select and click Start Chat. There's actually another way you can do that, and I will demonstrate that later. But regardless, it works for individual chats and group chats. Does not work for spaces. You still have to go to the space icon on the left-hand side and then select the space that you want or create a space option. This is a lot more user-friendly because if you're like me, I have my top conversations pinned, such as talking to John, Chad, and Jolene, which is my coworkers that I work with. I have those pinned at the top, but sometimes I might have to start a chat with someone else that I don't chat with that often. So I will just start a new chat, and obviously they're probably in my long list, but this makes it a lot easier. It'll bring up the conversation that we had before. So again, a really good way. And again, this is how you would create a group message now as well. As you can see, they're adding multiple people at once. So that is a new one. And again, there's a YouTube video to learn more. Improved membership management for spaces. So one thing you will find with Google is making a lot of changes regarding spaces. So spaces is kind of getting a lot more attention for a lot of reasons. But one of the things that they have currently updated is the management membership look. So when you click on your space at the top, you'll select now manage members. And then what will happen is it will give you a full screen view instead of the small little pop-up window. So that's really easier to maintain, especially in your larger spaces. You'll have more real estate to see all your members. Not only that, you have the managed members, and you can see there's a category of added and invited. But you not only have that, you have some space settings you can adjust there as well. So again, please keep an eye on spaces as things will be continuing updating with spaces. This is just one of those to just give you a better management experience within chat spaces. But again, definitely some more features coming our way. Contacts is the next app we're going to discuss, and I don't think the last time I've done this for the last year and a half, I don't remember doing one for contacts. So here is one for Google Contacts. Many of us probably don't go to contacts as much. Some of you may, depending on your what your title is and what your business needs are. But currently, to really maintain contacts in Google, you have to, in theory, go to Contacts Google or go to the waffle at the top right-hand corner and choose the Contacts app to really do anything in contacts. You can view your contacts as of in the side panel. If you're unaware what the side panel is, the side panel is over here on the right-hand side of your Gmail, your Drive, your doc editors. You can find that side panel. I strongly encourage you to use the side panel. It is a great way to access other apps. You'll notice your calendar is there, Google Keeps there. It's just a great way to access other apps such as Task as well. About this update is a nice update for those that do have to maintain contacts. Most of us use our directory, the state of Iowa, when we're working within internally. It doesn't really apply to us. But when we're working with people outside the state of Iowa or a vendor, you might need to add them as a new contact. So let's say I need to add Fred Flintstone to my contact list. He's not part of the state of Iowa. I can now, in my sign panel, have the option to click on the contacts icon and have the option to create a new contact, and you will fill out the criteria of the field. So that's really nice that you can do that. Not only that, which would probably happen to me, I put in Fred's information, but then I find out I misspelled Fred's name. Now in the contacts side panel, I can actually edit contacts as well. which usually you should always search for your contacts as well. You can also search, see if you have that contact. Maybe I have Fred, but now I need to add Wilma. You'll have that option to do that as well. So a nice feature, especially those that need to maintain contacts. You will have that capability of doing so directly in your side panel, which will be really beneficial inside Gmail because that's when you really are working on contacts. So again, a nice way to update and create contacts. That's all I have for contacts. We are going to focus on the app Google Docs. So this one says pin table headers when using pageless format on Google Docs. As you probably see, I kind of like go a little bit more in depth in case you maybe don't know what pageless is or whatever. Let's talk about two things. First, pageless format, what is it? It is a way to make a doc, let me say that again. It will make your doc have more real estate. Many of us aren't printing as much as we used to in the past, but what pageless does, it removes like the line breaks. It just gives you more real estate on a page. So it's really nice. What also is nice with pageless formatting is a lot of times we'll embed large images or insert large images or insert large tables, and you just need more real estate and not really worry about your margins and so on. So that's what pageless format is. The other thing with pageless format, it is part of Smart Canvas, which is a product within Google Workspace. You probably have heard of Smart Canvas, but also it is where you would adjust it to pageless format would be under page setup. So you would go to File, Page Setup, and select pageless format. So once you have pageless format on, you would then also now in this particular update, when you insert a table, you will then have the option to pin that header row. The header row is usually what the columns mean, right? So you'd have first name, last name, etc. You'll see in this example, this header row is user, email, user, Google Docs, and Google Sheets. When you scroll vertically, sometimes before this update, you would not know what the criteria of that column is because the header row wasn't following you as you scroll down. So now you have the option in pageless format to pin the header row. Good news, you already had that option without using the pageless format. So again, if you haven't messed with the tables within Google Docs, I strongly encourage you to do so. This is where I'm going to be honest. Google's tables weren't great until the last 6 months. They've made a lot of improvement. It is more user-friendly. And this is an example now in tables. You can pin, you can sort ascending, you can do split cells. You can do lots of things within Google Doc tables now that you couldn't do before. So again, this is just one of those enhancements regarding Google tables and pageless formatting. So again, just be aware of that as well. This particular update is not going to apply to many of you. So it's just for my app developers or coders. Easily format and display code in Google Docs. The one key word I want to mention is if you haven't really dived into Smart Canvas, I strongly encourage you to check out last quarter's newsletter. I had a presentation regarding Smart Canvas, so that's really good to know. But this is one of those key words that you should be aware of is building blocks. Building blocks is a new terminology in the last year. This is a way to, in this particular update, is to insert a building block in the sense of a code block. So it allows you to copy and paste it into a document and then manually apply styles by highlighting syntax. Again, those that use coding will understand all that, so I'm not going to spend much more time on this one. But do make note of when the GIF goes through that when you click on Insert Building Blocks, there's a lot of other ones that will apply to many of you as well. So if this is new to you, please check out the Smart Canvas training. This one is a fun one, expanding color options in Google Slides, Docs, Sheets, and Drawings. So be aware of this one. This is one of those crossover updates that I talked about. This applies to not only just Docs, it's also Sheets and Drawings and Slides. So it applies to many of the doc editors, all the doc editors, and Drawing. So with that, so this one, expanding color options in Google Slides, Docs, and Sheets and Drawing. With this one, it allows you to adjust the formatting much more, much easier, and matching your color palette as well. So first of all, When you use doc editors or drawing, you have options to customize the color, such as you want blue, green, and etc. You'll be able to use the eyedropper option. You can see, I don't think it's showing on this one. Oh yeah, it is right here. This little eyedropper will be able to select and color pick your colors to be displayed on the screen, which is really nice. So for those that are in communications, will understand this because you have to match your branding guidelines and etc. You can actually hover over a color and select the hex code. Not only that, it will also select and pull up the RGBA colors that apply to that as well. Really nice feature. You will find a common theme, and within the Google Workspace updates here is Google's giving you more ways to format more efficiently, which is really important, right? I always say to my kids, get your content in your paper, get your content in, content. Spend time on the formatting later. We do know that formatting does take more time. However, that's where Google's trying to improve it and make it more user-friendly for you. So again, when you adjust the text, the border, etc., you'll be able to use the eyedropper, put in your hex code, and you have many ways to customize within that as well. Added bonus, in this particular YouTube video, I also kind of go into drawing a little bit. Drawing is a hidden gem within Google. Many people don't use Google Drawing as much as they maybe should, in the lack of better words. I love drawing. It's a small graphic editor tool, and it really works really good with Google Docs. So again, this is a little bit longer video, but it's worth your time because it talks about drawing and how you can incorporate it within your Google Docs, and you can always start a drawing on the go inside Google Drive as well. This one is, again, another formatting option. This is where I'm going to be honest, why Google did this take so long. New options to view non-printing characters in Google Docs. This is really helpful. So with this, you can actually now in your Google Docs, go to the view icon, the view menu, and select the non-printing characters. Many of us probably know exactly what those are and been waiting for this update for quite some time. The non-printing characters are such as paragraph, hard break, line, soft break, section break, page break, column break, tab, and space. So yes, this is going to help you when you're trying to format or line things up or trying to determine where an extra space might be. I actually used it the other day trying to format my newsletter. So yes, it's a really nice feature, and yes, it's been a long time waiting on this one. So again, if you haven't seen that one, for those that really do appreciate that in Word, we do now have it available in Google Docs. So just go to View and select non-printing characters in Google Docs. The next app is Drive. So let's go ahead and focus on Drive. We're going to talk about sharing suggestions in Google Drive make collaborating easier. This is a pretty self-explanatory update. When you click on the share icon, you'll now see under the share icon, when you get the sharing dialog box up, you will see that Google will have names populated there. It's using its artificial intelligence, again, to let you know these are the most common recipients that you use for this particular doc or this particular people that you talk to the most. So it's just giving you suggested recipients. What does this do to help you? You don't have to type in their name, you just click. So again, providing more efficiency and productivity when you're sharing. So you will probably notice that little, some people that you work with right underneath that share box. It doesn't mean it's shared until you click on it, but it does help you alleviate typing in their email address if it's a common recipient. This one is a pretty big update in a sense, not so much in functionality, but in look and feel. This update refreshed your interface for Google Drive, Google Docs, Google Sheets, and Google Slides. So let's first focus on Google Doc editors. Again, maybe you're unaware, but Google Doc editors contains docs, sheets, and slides. Okay, so doc editors is sheets, slides, and docs. Okay. When you're in docs, sheets, and slides, doc editors, you will now see a new look and feel. It's a new material design. I think it's number 3. What you'll see is there are a lot more blue. I'll be honest, there is a blue overlay. You'll see that a lot. You'll also notice in the toolbar will be an overlay of blue as well, and you'll see an oval shape around it. Again, a new look and feel as well. You will also experience improvements in commenting, background, rulers, and grid lines, just more user-friendly, easier on the eyes in your doc editors. So again, that's the material design change within Google Doc editors. Some functionality change or some maybe icon change is that you will no longer see the activity dashboard at the top right-hand corner. You will now see, as I know it's maybe kind of hard to see, but up here you will see a clock with a reload button. That is a good change in my humble opinion. That is your version history button. If you're unfamiliar with version history, it should be your best friend. Version history will tell you who did what on that document and when. You can always go to version history in the past, or you still can, is go to File, Version History, and you'll be able to see your versions. If you're not using version history, this can also alleviate having copies, multiple copies, right? You can actually name your version. You can say final, rough draft, version 1, version 2, version 3 inside that version history dialog box. So again, just a quick, easy way at the top right-hand corner to click on that version icon button, and you will see that version history box appear on the right-hand side. So again, nice feature there. So that's the improvements for the nutshell regarding Google Doc editors. Let's focus on Drive now. Drive actually, first of all, has a very similar material design change. Again, more blue. So be aware of that. You have icons look a little different. Again, more appealing to the eyes. Pretty much that's that. One thing though, some key actions that have changed within Google Drive is when you're in grid view or list view, doesn't matter, whatever your preference or flavor is. I prefer list view. But when you hover over a file or folder in your Google Drive, you will then have the option now to select it. This will allow you to do it in multiple items at once and do a batch operation. So that's very similar to Gmail. When you hover over Gmail, you get the selection box, right? And you can select multiple emails and you can archive it. You can delete them, whatever, in batch, right? Same concept within Google Drive. Obviously, archiving is not going on what you're going to do, but you can select multiple. And keep in mind, you can still use the shift option if you want to do sequential, but you could do select them, and then you can always right-click and take a batch operation, such as selecting several of them, right-click, and then sharing them, whatever the case may be. It just makes it more user-friendly. You kind of already had that option with using the Control and Shift, but it wasn't as user-friendly. Many people maybe didn't realize you could do that, but this just makes it more consistent between Gmail and Drive. You already know how to do that in Gmail. Let's see how you do it in Drive as well. The other thing you can do is now, like in Gmail as well, is you hover over and you get hover actions. So if you hover over an email selection, you'll see what you can do. Same thing applies in Drive. You hover over a file or folder in Drive, you will see new hover actions as well to increase your efficiency when manipulating your folder infrastructure or your files. The one thing that's not quite here yet, I do think there's a little bit of delay on this particular portion of this rollout, is the search tips by default will appear. You'll see right here in the GIF, they have the file type, last modified, and people will be a default setting or default display, excuse me, of those 3 search tips. If you're unfamiliar with search tips, no worries, they're already here, which is awesome, which makes life a lot easier to find your files. So if you type in a keyword up here in the magnifying glass, like if you type in the word hi or demo inside that magnifying glass, a whole bunch of search tips will appear. And search tips give you the capability of filtering and finding your files a lot easier. Now, if you're like, I've never even touched those search tips, I don't know what you're talking about. Search tips are also in Gmail. They're in chat, they're in Gmail and chat and Drive. Good news is I have recently done a Search Ninja training, become a Search Ninja searcher. You can also find that in this post, but also I will show you at the end where you could find how to become a Search Ninja. And we talk about not only Drive, but Gmail and be a better searcher within Google Workspace. So that's pretty much it with that, but again, not a huge update, but one that definitely probably needs a little tender loving look at for sure. Meet Meet and Meet. Meet has made so many updates. It's like exhausting sometimes, but it's all good updates. So we're going to focus on Google Meet here. This one, I don't think I need to even explain. New in-meeting reactions for Google Meet. Yeah, how fun is that? Maybe you find it intrusive and obnoxious. I don't know, your choice. But you do have a way to actually show how your attendees, how you feel about a comment that was made in a meeting. Hopefully they're all positive and so on. But this does give you some more authentic way to express how you feel in a meeting. So keep that in mind. So again, you just click on the little emoji icon. You can adjust it to fit your needs. You have some options there. You got the heart, the thumbs up, and etc. I think you probably all found that by now in a Google meeting. But sometimes those are very obnoxious and can be very intrusive in a very important meeting. If you turn on host management on, and maybe that's depending on what is the purpose of the meeting, if you turn on host management on, you will then have the ability to actually turn on or off that. So if you feel like that's something you don't want, you can always, as a host of the meeting or organizer of the meeting, you're like, I do not want people to express, maybe it's a very sensitive meeting, you do not want anybody to say thumbs down, and you want more control over the environment of the Google Meet. Please know if you turn the host management on, you do have the ability to turn on or off the reactions. And then one more thing I wanted to say, I kind of forgot, is take off the host management conversation. But if you're actually in the meeting by yourself and you don't like them, you can actually adjust your settings as well and turn that off. And I go in greater detail in that video to walk you through all three of those scenarios that I just talked about. This is a update. View speaker notes while presenting Google Slides in Google Meet. So maybe you missed the last update in November. In November, we got the capability of going to your Google Meet, clicking on Present, click on by a tab, and then control your slide deck directly in your Google Meet. That was an update in November. So that's pretty much what this update is. It just takes it one step further. This update allows you now, as a presenter like myself, to see the speaker notes. So you can see then in the GIF here, just like I said, go to the tab, select your slide deck, and then as a presenter, you will then have the option to select the option to see the speaker notes right over here. So that's a nice feature. The good news is your speaker notes do not display to your guests or your other attendees. So again, just be aware of that, because I think it helps to have your speaker notes when you're presenting. So it's nice that you have one control inside your Google Meet, and now you can also see your speaker notes to give it a better presentation. Again, fun, more filter effects available for Google Meet. Actually, when I did the video for this YouTube channel, I actually had COVID and I was not feeling good. I'm like, this is a prime example when you might want to turn the filter effects on. Again, you know your audience, you know when that is a good idea, when it's not a good idea. But if you just need a little flair, fun in your meeting, you can be a strawberry head or a bunny working on a computer, or a log head. I don't care, your choice. But filter effects, there's several new ones if you haven't checked it for a while. If you want to change your background if you want, whatever. There's a lot more options there that in the last year, but this is one of them. Again, you'll find a lot more improvement too as well. So definitely, if you want to be the funny one in the next meeting, you could turn on and be a strawberry head. This one's kind of not confusing, but it kind of like, I don't know how many people actually use this one. Easily share files in Google Meet chat on the web. First, let's backtrack a little bit. If you're unaware, Google Meet, you can actually access Google Meet and join Google Meet and create Google Meets in so many different apps within Google Workspace. Did you know you can actually do one inside your calendar, which I'm sure you know that one. You can do one in chat. You can actually do one in doc editors. You could actually join it by Meet.Google and Jamboard. I could go on and on how many different ways you can actually create or join a Google Meet. So once you know that you can do all those options and join and create a Google Meet, then what this particular update allows you is if you're presenting inside a Google Meet from Google Doc Editors, which again, Google Doc Editors is Sheets, Slides, and Docs, you could actually see in this slide, in this GIF, that the Meet is going on inside the Doc Editors. Well, when you're presenting, you can actually now whoever the attendees is, maybe they don't have access to that file that you're sharing. You will now get a sharing dialog box. So it just tells you, hey, I want to share this file. Absolutely. You can share it to your coworkers that are in that meeting. What this really alleviates is really cool. It allows that request access, right? So most of us will probably already do this. We put the link in the chat meet, and then we're like, in this case, it's in Docs Editors is what this particular update is. And then we're like, oh, I didn't share it right. Now I'm getting request access from employee A, B, and C. So this alleviates that issue, which is a nice feature. So again, this just really kind of ties it in if you're using Google Doc Editors and joining Meet. If you're not using that, the reason why you would use that is, like, for example, Jolene and I would work on a communication. I could be right in the doc. I get to see Jolene in the doc. I don't have to have two different screens. I'm just working there. Not everybody has a luxury of multiple screens. So this just gives it a lot more flexibility of being able to be in multiple different tabs and working on the document together and still seeing your friends. This is a pretty big update. Include captions with Google Meet video recording. So first of all, you can already turn closed captions on in your Google Meet environment, and it displays to you. Please also understand closed captions is not only for the hard of hearing. Yes, great feature for those that need that, absolutely. But closed captions could be when you're in a loud environment and you really can't hear very good. Maybe I should, if I wasn't talking, I should have done that. But you can turn the closed captions on and maybe get a better understanding of what's going on in the meeting. So that's one reason, right? It is hard of hearing, but maybe not a loss of hearing. So that's an option why. Or you just want to be quiet and you just want to retain, you can turn the closed captions on. Honestly, maybe it's my age, but I turn the closed captions on when I'm watching half my shows anymore, just so I can understand what is being said in the TV. So closed captions is kind of just the new norm, right? So what this does, though, it allows you when you record it. So when I'm recording this video, this training, I had the option to select captions. So what that does is it will then, when in the recording, I will get you this, your Google Meet recordings obviously get stored in Google Drive, right? In a nice little folder infrastructure. Also goes inside the calendar invite if it's tied to a calendar invite. You will then have the option, if you choose to record the captions as you select it, and it will also do the closed captions in the recording. So again, a nice feature. This is where we always maybe use YouTube because it did the closed captions. Well, now we also have the option to capture the closed captions in the recording and in stored in Drive. So again, if you notice when you record now, any meeting, you have an option to select captions, and that's what it does. I will say it does take a little bit longer to render or at least appear the closed captions, just because obviously it's doing more work behind the scenes. So just don't be like, I selected closed captions and it didn't appear. Well, it takes a little bit longer for those closed captions to appear in your video, as it would make sense, right? It does a really good job, though. Considering how fast I speak, it picks it up. So this kind of goes back to the two slides before. This is where we're actually easily share access to presented content in Google Meet with all attendees. Okay, so we just talked about that 2 slides back, but where were we at? We were in Doc Editors. We were in Slides, Sheets, and Docs, and we're talking about content being shared either by presenting or adding it to a chat inside the Meet, inside the Doc Editors, okay? So now it's pretty much identical concept, but now you have this ability to do it inside Meet as well. Many of us probably a 70 to 30% do our meets through Google Meet, and that may be through Doc Editors and etc. So most of us will probably present like we do now, by tab. You will then have the option to share. That option, you'll be able to share it directly when you're presenting inside Google Meet and selecting a tab, and then it will give you the sharing dialog box. Great, again, alleviating that request access issue that we don't want. But what most people probably do, though, is a lot of times we'll copy and paste a resource that we have in our Drive and paste it in the chat Meet. Great news, you will get the same dialog box. Hey, Jolene doesn't have access. Do you want to give her access? Yes, I do. I don't want her to ask me request access. So that's great. The other benefit of this is if it's actually tied to a calendar event, which many of us do, then you also have the option to attach it to a calendar event. So again, it's putting all those resources directly inside one central spot for you. So in case someone missed it and so much more. So again, you did nothing wrong if you received the sharing dialog box. So be aware of that. That's just helping you out that maybe employee A did not have access, and they're going to ask you, do you want to give employee A access? Sheets, we're going to go ahead and focus on sheets. Resizing pivot tables in Google Sheets. Well, before I talk about this particular update, I'm going to give you a plug. If you have not used pivot tables, I strongly encourage you to check out this YouTube chapter that I have done on Let's Do a Pivot Table. If you don't know what a pivot table is, it's a way to manipulate the data. So it's a great way to manipulate the data, actually. I love pivot tables. It's a great way to get a quick count, understanding what you're looking at. It's just user-friendly. It's nice. So first of all, if you're new to pivot tables, I encourage you to check out the YouTube pivot table chapter. If you're new, don't really like sheets or haven't used sheets, then I would encourage you to check out the beginner and advanced sheets training. Lots of information. Sheets is a powerful tool. So with this particular update, you'll notice that when it comes over here, you will have the option to expand your toolbar. So that's really nice. So sometimes our header rows are really long. A Google form result is a good example. We have a long question and we're not even sure what the question is because it cuts it off in the pivot table. Now you have the option to expand that. So you get to know what data you're trying to manipulate. So a nice feature. Create drop-down chips in Google Sheets. Again, Smart Canvas, and Smart Canvas again. So again, check that out and learn more about that. But this is where you have the option to do drop downs. Now, if you are a Sheets user, you probably already have kind of done drop downs using data validation, which is fine. But this is actually makes it a little bit more user-friendly for maybe someone that is not an advanced Google Sheet user. You can actually create a drop down. It is still fall under the data validation rules. Again, nice, but drop downs and data validation allows the end user to put the correct information in. So it doesn't allow them sometimes to manipulate it. So just make sure that they put the data that you want in there, the options that you want in those fields. So that's pretty much how that works. Again, this is more of an in-depth video. You might want to check it out. It goes into it a little bit more. But again, you could color code and so on. But this is a great way of tracking. You can see like this is a tracking option for you, completed, in progress, not completed. But drop downs can be used by selecting a certain name that you want. So again, a nice feature within Google Sheets. Slides, there's only one. So again, we know in our Google Workspace insights that slides are not used highly in the state of Iowa, probably primarily because they think of slides as only a presenter tool. That's incorrect, actually. It can be used for infographics. It can be used for pictures. I mean, all my thumbnails on YouTube is made inside of slides. So it can be used outside the box for many facets. It could be used for diagrams, table of organizations, a web quest, whatever you want it to do. But don't always think of slides as, I don't present, I'll never use slides. Maybe not quite accurate. Can be used for many things. This particular update, though, is to collaborate with our colleague in Google Slides through a follow feature. So let's go through a scenario. Jolene and I are on a slide together. Jolene is the main editor of the slide, and I want to follow her and see what she's editing. I can actually select Jolene up the top where I have the follow option, and I will actually see her where she's going. Sometimes slides decks are kind of like 30 to 100 to 200 slides. That's kind of hard to follow. It will automatically move my slide to know exactly where she's at. Nice feature. There are some ways that it stops. I'm asked that you just check that out right here. There's some ways that it does stop following, but it is nice to quickly kind of do a last review of a slide deck and make sure that we're good to go. Hey, let's talk about this slide. Is this accurate? I can just follow her and we could talk through it as we go through it together. Task. This one is an announcement. This has already been posted on our Google Help website. I don't have a lot of information on how it's going to really look. This is where reminders will migrate to Google Task. This really falls into probably the 10% of people of actually using reminders. If you're unaware, Google Calendar has a reminder calendar. So you have your name, you have a task calendar, and then you have a reminder calendar that ties to your Google account. Can't remove it. It's part of your account. What this is doing is they're taking that reminder calendar and migrating it up to Google Task. So it's not like you're going to lose your data. It's just going to now roll up into Google Task in a nutshell. There is a volunteer migration. So starting April 12th, you will see a prompt, much like this one, that'll allow you to, that you can just voluntarily move those reminders. Now, some of you that probably did use reminders, it would be, for example, I had to pay bills on Friday, do time card on Friday. That's what that is. And then if you don't do it, voluntarily migrate it, you will then have an automatic migration May 22nd. So there is a lot more resources if you click on this post. But again, if you have more questions on that, absolutely reach out to me. I'm waiting for it to be available in our test domain, and I'll walk through the process. I just don't have it yet to walk through the process. I also have posted some recent Google tips, tricks, and training this last quarter, so I want to make sure you're aware of those as well. As I mentioned in a previous slide, become a Google Workspace search ninja. So again, this focuses on the apps Gmail, Drive, Chat, and Cloud Search. So again, Gmail, Chat, and Cloud Search. So it's not like real in depth, but maybe just things that you're unaware of. Maybe like if you've never heard the word search tips, I strongly encourage you to check out this video because that can really help narrow and filter our search down. Also, Cloud Search is kind of another hidden gem within Google Workspace, where Cloud searches the majority of your Google Workspace, your mail, your calendar, your drive, and etc. So again, that's just a plug. You can check out the slide deck and the video to learn more about it. This is another, it's funny, Google and I think the same, like we need to spend less time formatting. This is an example of that as well. Paste as plain text and paste without formatting. What this does is many of us will copy content from source A and then paste it into source B. It could be Gmail, it could be Docs, it could be whatever, wherever you're copying and pasting from. This is a shortcut where you copy it, you'll find a way to just paste the text alone and not pasting all the junk that comes with it. In more cases, probably the HTML code. It'll bring all the coding over, bring all the font, bring all the formatting. And then again, you've got this kind of like not cool option over here, and now you have to reformat it all. All you really wanted was the text. That's what this update is. So definitely check that out if you like. I don't know what that is, but that sounds fun. Check out that short little video. This will definitely increase your efficiency for sure. As I was doing the training or getting ready for the update for the migration of reminders, I'm like, I really don't have Google Task training. And Google Task is kind of another really cool app within Google Workspace that many people may or may not use. I'm not sure. But many of us, if not all of us, have a to-do list. For sure, hands down. I don't know how you track your stuff. Maybe it's on a piece of paper. Maybe it's Google Keep. Maybe it's in an email. Maybe it's in a Google Doc. I don't know how you keep track of it. Google has many ways for you to keep track of your task. Well, they actually have an app called Task to actually do that same functionality. And I had some training in the Gmail integrated workspace area, but not really just Task. So I did a training just on Google Task. So it goes through how you can add a task from Gmail, how you can add a task inside Calendar, how you can add a task inside your side panel. And I also can tell you Google's putting some time in Task because they have made some recent updates as well, such as being able to print Task, be able to star Task, and so much more. So again, Google is making improvements. It's always a good sign. They're putting effort towards it, and I thought I would add a task training there for you. So definitely check out that if you haven't done so. But I do want to just demo some of these updates, not all of them. Again, it's still an hour long talking. I don't want to take any more of your guys' time, but I do want to go over some of the updates that I just want to kind of point out. But I would really encourage you to check out the YouTube channel because they go in greater detail and always goes better because I have the option to edit what I do. So that's always a good thing to know too. So, so please check out all those links on the bottom of the slide deck as well. So the first update I want to talk about is the way to start a new chat, either as an individual or group. So I'm inside my Gmail right now. I'm in a trainer account. Trainer 13 is my persona at this current time. You can always use the same features of chat inside Gmail or you can always go to chat.google by going to the waffle, or if you want to be a little more advanced, you can always use the chat progressive web app as well. But in this case, most of us probably chat with inside our Gmail integrated workspace. So I'm going to click on the chat icon on the left-hand side, and you'll see then I click new chat, and then I can start typing in the people that I want to talk to. I can click on trainer 1, trainer 7. You also can click on this little icon. Notice there is a keyboard shortcut, a control enter. You can do that as well. So you can select and click start, or you can always hover over and select that option as well. If you want to add more people, just keep selecting them and start a chat. So again, that is just a quick little way, just making sure what this really does is, this is not a great example because I'm inside a personal account, but many of my, or trainer account, excuse me, you have a long list here. So again, it's just really nice to just, hey, who do I want to talk to? Fill in their name and hit start chat. The other thing is in Spaces. Again, Spaces will have ongoing updates. If you're unfamiliar with the inline threading, that was an update from last quarter. This is an example of inline threading. It's a nice feature. So again, a plug of checking out the YouTube channel. So that's a really good way, kind of what we're used to within our iPhones and other ways. It's just kind of inline. But this particular update that was announced this quarter was if you go up to your Spaces, again, Spaces was formerly known as Rooms, you will then click on Manage Members, and you will now see it is a full screen view of your members. And then you have options to do space settings, access. So there's a lot more options there for you. This will be very beneficial for your large spaces. The other thing is the contacts update that I mentioned, where you will find contacts over here on the side panel. I also will take the time here, as sometimes I get questions, I don't see my side panel. No worries, you maybe just accidentally have decided to hide your side panel. So at the bottom right-hand corner, you have a caret. Some people say, I don't see my side panel. It will look like this. You may have done that to just provide more real estate, but you can always show your side panel by clicking on the caret, and now you see your side panel. Again, the side panel is not only visible inside Gmail, but I mentioned earlier, it's in your Drive and Doc editors. As for contacts, you would find the Contacts app. You can also find other apps such as Task, Keep, and Calendar. But if you click on the Contacts app, this is where you can then search for your contacts. So if I look up Fred, as I mentioned earlier, there is Fred. Maybe I need to make a change to Fred. I will then have an edit option to update his contacts if I need to. Or if I need to now add Wilma, I can click Create a Contact and fill out Wilma's information as needed and hit Save. So that's the Contacts app. And now I'm going to go briefly into Drive and talk about the Google Doc updates. Again, some of these will cross over into the Google Doc editors, but I'm going to go ahead and pull up the Google Doc that I have. First thing I just want to mention is the material design. You'll notice then the new look and feel. We have the version history over here on the right. You can see that that's a quick way to get to your version history. So again, no activity dashboard, no worry, that's under tools, under activity dashboard, it's still there. And one thing I'd like to take at this time too, is sometimes you have a hard time finding these menu items. I do as well sometimes because they kind of change. I will just click on the help option, type in what I'm trying to do, and there will be a way to quickly find it. So I always recommend to use the help if you cannot find the action that you're trying to do. And if all else fails, always right click, and right click some more. Whatever item you have selected, you'll have the option to probably find that action that you're trying to do. So the other update is if you go to File, Page Setup, you will find that you have the option of Page and Page List. This is the page list format that I mentioned earlier. You can change it to page list, and now you have more real estate. So if you do embed a larger image or a table, you will have more real estate and not worry about margins and etc. This is where it was focusing on the actual pinning of a header row. So notice if I scroll now, I can no longer see the column headers. This is very similar to freezing rows in Google Sheets. I can click on Pin Header, and now I can scroll, and you can see now I see the username as I vertically scroll down. So a nice way to make sure I know what data I'm looking at in these longer documents. Let's go ahead and show you the non-printing characters. You could go to View, and you can select Show Non-Printing Characters, and you can see this is not a great example, but if I go ahead and tab over, you'll see that it does arrows. If I hit the space bar, it gives me dots. Obviously, it will have page breaks and etc. So those are really good ways to be aware of that. I'm going to go to another document that has a little better example. I'm going to go to this one. So again, I'll go ahead and show the non-printing characters again. You can go to View. You also have a keyboard shortcut, Control-Shift-P, if you like your keyboard shortcuts. I'm going to go ahead and click Show Non-Printing Characters. And again, you have some options there for you. And again, if you just don't want it again, just go ahead and select it, and then it will be removed. But again, that will increase your formatting options and make it more efficient for you. The other update is actually you can now use the colors. You can select the A or the highlighter, whatever that is that you want to do, but now you have the pick a custom color, which is the eyedropper. You select the eyedropper and you can hover over and it will select whatever you have hovered. In this case, it's the famous Google Blue. I click on it and you can see then since I had the highlighter option selected, it changed the instructions to blue. So again, that works in doc editors and in drawing. So again, you can always go to custom and you'll see that you have the hex code and the R, G, and B, and you also have the eyedropper there as well. So again, for those that like the formatting, can use that. The sharing, if you click on share, now you will also see, this is not a good example because it doesn't have a lot of people suggesting, but if you go into the share, more than likely it will pull in somebody that you, obviously share a lot with. This trainer count's not a great example. I think that's it in doc editors. I will go to Drive real quick as well. If you go to Drive, you'll notice now I'm currently in list view, which gives you more of obviously a linear view. If you like grid view, you can always go to the grid view. It just depending on what you want to do. Regardless, if you hover over an item, you will now have a checkbox option. Again, so you have that option. But when you're in list view, if you hover over it, which most people like list view, if you hover over, you will see you have the options to share, rename, and star it. So that's kind of very similar to Google and Gmail, excuse me. You have the option to do that as well. And this is where you can then select and batch. So you can just go ahead and select, right click, and make a batch decision of whatever action you want to take, which is share, move to, star, etc. So now I can take that action in bulk, which you could have done before. So this is just more user-friendly as we go through it. I'll go ahead and go to Meet real quick and just show you a few of those. I'm going to go ahead and start an instant Meet. I'm going to go ahead and shut my camera off and mute just to give you less distraction. Again, the famous emojis. You can always change your skin tone as well, which gives you more of your authentic self. Again, we can kind of already know what this does, but who doesn't love a little bit of that? You can go to the three dots. As I mentioned, if you find it intrusive, you could go to your settings and you can actually find a reaction setting and you can disable some of that if you choose to. That's your own individual setting. This is not in relate to host management. So again, I won't focus on the host management part. That's not highly used as much, but if you want more information, definitely check out the YouTube channel or YouTube video regarding this update. The other thing is I want to go ahead, if you click on, let me pull up a slide though, one moment. If I want to present from a tab and having an option to actually control the slide deck inside Google Meet, I can click the Present Now button, and you have to select a tab if you want to control the slide deck inside the Google Meet. I'm going to go ahead and select a tab, and then I will need to select the slide deck that I'm referring to or that I want to present. I'm going to go ahead and select Demo, and I'm going to click Share. And I'm going to click Start Slideshow. And then you can see I'm actually controlling the slide directly inside my Google Meet. You also have the Show Speaker Notes, which gives me the capability of seeing what I need to do for that particular slide and know what I'm supposed to present on that topic. So these speaker notes do not show to my guest if I had guests in this particular meeting. This just shows to myself. And for those that don't know, a tab is the best way to present quality videos, anything else like that. It does say that when you present a tab, it says best for video and animation. So again, if you've got a lot of video you want to present, do it by tab. Meet reactions, show no filters. Oh, I won't. You can go to your, you can go to your 3 dots and you can then apply visual effects. I'm not going to do this, but I just want to show you there's a lot of options if you haven't checked it lately. Again, I'm not going to turn my camera on to show you these. I think they're pretty just fun, but there's the strawberry head. You want to be an astronaut, go for it. So that is where that's at. It's under apply visual effects. I don't know if anybody's tried the open picture-in-picture. Again, we're used to that in our phone environment. So that's nice too, to maybe you're just listening in. So you can always open in picture-in-picture. That's not part of the updates, just want to talk about that one. You click on the activity options. Maybe you will now see the option to record. This is where I mentioned if you want the recording to have closed captions, because remember, these get stored in Google Drive, you can select the closed captioning and start that if you choose to. So that's nice as well. Last quarter, it talked about also transcribing. You have an option to just transcribe, and it will go into a Google Doc. 2 different updates, 2 different things, but important to point out. Let's see what else. I think that's it that I was going to show. Meet reactions, show filters. Yep, I think that's all I had for a quick demonstration on some of those. I mean, I would strongly encourage you to definitely check out the slide deck